My name is Amanda.
And I'm Kristin.
And we are the Exorcisters. So sit back, relax, and let's get creepy. Welcome to episode 57. And in this episode, we are going to be discussing the 2015, I've been seeing it called horror comedy film, Krampus.
I didn't see much comedy in it.
Maybe it's just because it didn't land with you.
Okay, fair. I didn't think it was very funny, but...
I mean, I think it's more... It didn't take itself too seriously.
Okay, that's
which
fair.
I guess gives it kind of that horror comedy vibe. This was my first time seeing this movie, and I feel like I've said that a ton this year. And it's basically, without like a full walkthrough, which we'll get into some scenes, but it's basically Trick or Treat for Christmas.
Yeah, basically.
There's a bunch of different Christmas elements, and they're all out to kill you. Mm-hmm. And just like in Trick or Treat, if you don't honor Christmas and believe and have the spirit and honor traditions, then that's when Krampus and his minions basically come after you.
Right.
So we're focused on this dysfunctional family. It also kind of reminds me of, and maybe this was intentional, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, like with the uncle.
That's all I thought of the whole time.
That's basically Christmas Vacation, but for horror fans. And we're not going to talk about a ton of lore around Krampus in this episode, because if you just scroll a little bit, the episode we posted right before this was Anti-Claus or Krampus or whatever.
Any of the different names that they have.
Yeah. Not Holly Jolly Christmas, man. This is the opposite. So we're not going to get into a ton of lore, but it does come into it because the grandmother is from Germany. I believe she's from Germany. Mm-hmm. And it went after her when she was a child because her whole village lost the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, which is weird.
He's like a really fucked up Grinch.
I'm just confused on how one little girl can ruin an entire fucking town.
I think she was like the little tiny glint of hope because she was holding on, and that was what was keeping Krampus at bay. And then when the last person lost it, he just decimated, which is why he didn't take her.
He's just done.
He's like, this is all your fault. You lost the spirit. You killed all these people. They're gone forever.
That's fucked up.
Now live with this for the rest of your life.
Poor little girl. Oh my God.
Yeah. And she's a hard-ass granny.
Yeah.
She's just, in the beginning, she's just trying to make cookies for her family. Mm-hmm. And then her bitch-ass family comes home, which Toni Collette's in this, and I just love her. Mm-hmm. But her bitch-ass family comes home and is like, we can just buy them at the store. How dare you? I mean,
store-bought's never as good. What are you talking about?
And it takes away, like, we make Christmas cookies every year. We always have, like, growing up. I know by now this isn't our first, like, Christmas episode, so you all know Christmas is a big deal. Halloween's a big deal, like for me personally and internally. Christmas is a big deal because that was our family traditions. Like we did have some Halloween traditions. I'd get together with my cousins and we'd go trick-or-treating, but it didn't last as long as the Christmas ones, you know?
Right.
So tradition is incredibly important to me. And you know this because I haven't been able to go home the last 2 Christmases because my family lives out of state and I moved away, and it literally like kills me inside to not be home for Christmas because that is the most important holiday in my family. That's when everybody gets together. My cousins and I, even into adulthood, would at least some of us would try to get together and make Christmas cookies like we did when we were kids and my grandmother was alive, you know? And so how dare you say you can just get them store-bought? That's not the point.
And even if it was the point, they're never as good.
Exactly. Or as cute or funny. So now I still make Christmas cookies. It's just usually either by myself or with friends here like you. Like we did a bunch of them last year. So I still get to do it. But it's a real big bummer not being with my family when my family ties are so deep. As, you know, every family has their issues. But still, it's still important to me. And this is basically this movie, you know. It's all about tradition and not holding that. And it's got a warm, fuzzy message, but a really dark ending that doesn't satisfy that.
Yeah, I didn't have as many traditions as what you've told me.
Yeah.
I grew up with just me, my mom, and my grandma, so it was pretty small. And then my birthday's right after Christmas. So the most I can say is, yeah, the most I can say is we spend a lot of time together. And honestly, by Christmas, we are done seeing each other. So go somewhere else. But it was still really nice. I loved Christmas.
Yeah. And there's this one boy who this is kind of centered around who is basically what his grandmother was. He's holding on. He still believes in Santa. He's
so much that he's getting in fights at school.
Yes.
Poor kid.
Still writing letters and everything, which to me is just so sad. I remember when, this is, I guess, a lot of personal stuff, but I remember when I found out that Santa wasn't real. devastating.
Really?
Christmas was never the same. I held on to it till I was in like 5th grade. Honestly.
Good job.
Thank you. And a lot of kids, you know, that was kind of an embarrassing point, but it made it more fun, you know, and I think that don't ruin it for your kids. I mean, I'm not a parent. I can't tell you what to do, and it's not my life, but when I found out, I actually tricked my grandmother into telling me.
Aww.
Because I have a little brother, and so I was starting to suspect, because I was getting the age where kids were finding out and talking and, you know, and so I told my grandmother, yeah, Chad doesn't know yet who is my brother, and I was waiting to see her response, and she was like, yeah, we'll let him have a few more years, and I was like, I knew
That's
it.
so sad. And you did it. You tricked her into telling you.
I know, but I didn't really want to know, so, like, I knew if I asked, they'd give me one of those cryptic, like, if you believe, you know, and I just needed to know, because otherwise I was going to be a teenager believing in Santa Claus, which would have fixed itself eventually, but you know, still. And so it was just never the same. And so I really like the message of this movie. The horror aspect, I could take or leave, to be perfectly honest with you. It was okay. Like, it was fun-ish. I don't know if I'd probably watch it again, but then again, when I get into Christmas, I'm like traditionally Christmas. I'm not watching Krampus and Silent Night, Deadly Night.
And National Lampoons and all that.
The Holiday, Love Actually. Oh yeah, I go from like spooky bitch 24/7 to like give me a month and I'm the sparkliest, happiest. I mean, my house is just, eventually it'll look like Christmas threw up, like plan on it.
Great.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect.
Yeah, it will be.
Except for our podcast room, which will still be spooky year round.
I can have a black Christmas tree.
I swear to God.
It's going to happen. You just wait. Maybe it didn't happen this year.
Oh my God. Only spooky ornaments though.
That's fine.
Okay.
We will compromise on that.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. The end.
And I can decorate it for Halloween too. It'll be a multi-functional tree.
Yes, you can.
Okay, great. So, anyways, back to the movie. So, he doesn't hate his family, but he's so let down by his family because they don't really care. It's all about the hustle and bustle, and his
cousins are making fun of him.
His mom's imagery with her house and her fancy food, and that's really all anybody cares about. And his sister's making fun of him, and he's just very singled out. And the only one really on his side is his grandmother, but his grandmother's incredibly quiet. You know, she encourages him to continue to write his letters and stuff, but that's about it. She's not really like sticking up for him loudly. So he goes up and he had this letter to Santa and he rips it up and Krampus is then summoned.
Krampus is like, bitch. Okay.
He's like, yes, good, another one. So then all hell breaks loose. Krampus, I guess, is, I mean, again, we'll talk about the lore, but in this movie specifically, he brings this insane blizzard.
Yes.
Wipes out the whole neighborhood.
Yes.
And they let their fucking, what is she, like 14, 15 years old? She's got a boyfriend down the street or something.
Sure, go out in the blizzard.
Yeah, fine. Go right ahead.
Fun. Good luck.
I mean, this is a blizzard to where they open the front door and can't see the street. It's just walking distance. Yeah, that's the problem. You're going to get lost and freeze to death.
She'll make it. It'll be fine.
So I don't know what the parenting choices, like the rationale was, but it was not good. So she goes out. Obviously, she doesn't come back. So now the big tough uncle with the guns and the Hummer and the dad of our main character, now they have to go out and find her. And then you kind of starts with the spookies, if you will. The town or the little street that they're on, or neighborhood. It doesn't really tell you how far it goes out. Everybody's gone. Some shit's gone down. They look like their doors open. Like Krampus is just...
Yeah, it's kind of like The Mist.
Yeah.
Like when it goes through and you kind of finally get out of the mist and see the houses and there's spider webs everywhere.
But like Blizzard Christmas version.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. And there was, again, the spooky parts, or like the things that were supposed to be horror, were more comical. Because like you have gingerbread men that are being homicidal and trying to kill you. And you have toys and things like that
in the box and stuff like that.
Things that like would be scary if you like came, you know, if that actually happened. But in a movie, especially if you're a horror fan, it's just kind of comical, but like not in a way that where it was trying to be something that it wasn't. So you've got a lot of these comical horror elements, but one thing that did actually scare me is when they're going down the street, you actually see Krampus leaping from roof to roof.
That was really good.
That was really good. So there are a lot of good things about this that will satisfy a horror fan, I think. Just maybe not. You know, if you are not a holly jolly bitch like me, and you still want to get into the Christmas spirit, this is probably a really good movie for you to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Add it to your Black Christmas and your Silent Night, Deadly Night and your Ginger Dead Man and all of that. All that A+ horror. We got some good and some bad thrown in there.
Yeah, definitely. But then that poor girl, they give up on her so fucking fast.
Bro.
They get back. They don't find her. They get back, and then they're like, we just ignore it. They lose another kid, and they're like, let's ignore that one. And we're just losing them left and right.
Happening. They're like, cut the losses. There are more.
Exactly.
Because, like, one family, the main characters in their beautiful big house, they're like, I think Wikipedia, when I was just like reading through it, said they were prosperous but dysfunctional, which is a really good way to word this family. There's 2 kids and then the parents. So there's a family of 4 there. And then the cousins have a set of twins and a boy and a baby. So they got a lot of kids to spare. It's fine.
They can just start handing them out.
But they come back and, you know, they're like, oh my God, where is she? Which you see that she was like hiding under a car and got fucked. Like she got.
Yeah.
And
she's gone.
There's no mystery about it either.
Boyfriend's gone.
Everybody's gone. And so they lose a kid, and you're right. They're just like, oh no.
Moving on.
All right, we're all sleeping in the living room tonight. We have to have the fire on. And Grandma's being a cryptic bitch over here. She should have... I just don't understand. Like, eventually she comes around and she tells the whole story of when Krampus came to get her village and that when all Christmas spirit is gone, Krampus is going to come get you. You should have started there.
Or at least known that and stayed with the fireplace instead of letting it burn out.
Yeah, because they all go to sleep and they decide, okay, because they don't have any power or anything. Like, the whole neighborhood is just desolate. And just like in any major storm, power lines get knocked out.
Right.
But you keep the fire going so you don't fucking freeze to death. And
well, Krampus doesn't come down and kill you.
Right. Well, and that's another thing, too. Somebody should be in charge of the fire so that it doesn't go out. Because once a fire goes out, at least unless you're like Wilderness Man, it's kind of hard to get it started again unless you have a lot of newspaper or fire starters or things like that. So once it's going, you need to keep feeding it. And all these adults and nobody was like, let's take... well, they did say let's take shifts, and then they fell asleep. So pointless. Shame. And so, yeah, they need to... she knew, the grandmother knew, that not only do they need to keep the fire going to keep everybody warm, but Krampus can't get down into the chimney if there's a fire going. And it goes out. And then the poor little fat kid gets taken. And then they're like, there's another fucking kid. Gone.
And that one's gone.
This is the cheapest Christmas ever. We're actually losing kids.
Exactly.
Oh my... right? I told you I'm a bright side kind of person. So now you've got another kid gone. And now all these minion things are coming into the house. And again, you've got toys and you've got this tree angel. She was actually kind of...
she was cool.
Yeah, she was like a demon-y angel, which is a demon. A fallen angel.
Interesting.
Well, it's just a... yeah. So the tree angel looks like a demon tree angel.
Then there's an evil teddy bear. A creepy slug Jack-in-the-Box.
It's like a caterpillar Jack-in-the-Box that goes around. It's real. These things are massive too. Yeah. And the parents are like, all right, well, fuck this shit. 2 kids is too many. And then they go to like fight these things, but then more kids.
They lose another one.
Yeah. So we're 3 down.
And then Krampus comes and it takes the mom of the baby and the baby and that husband. So it takes the rest of that family, right? Pretty much. So they run out to try to get away from Krampus, and the boy stays behind, and he's trying to he's looking at Krampus and No, the grandma.
That's right. You're right.
Which they're already leaving. You're already going to be safe, quote unquote.
Because they're running away from Krampus.
Fucking go with them. Why are you staying to die?
She's martyring herself.
How much are you really going to hold him back? He's going to kill you real quick and then run after him.
Well, that's exactly what he does.
Oh, God.
He kills Grandma while the rest of the family's running away. And then the rest of the family, long story short, gets took.
Picked off.
Yeah. And, I mean, like I said, this whole movie in its execution, I mean, the whole premise of this movie, again, going back to, and what I really liked about it is, just like in Trick or Treat, don't lose the holiday spirit. Honor the traditions. If it's something, I mean, it's not talking about like if you're Jewish, you have to honor Christmas. That's not the point.
Honor your own traditions.
Honor your own traditions. And so what it tries to get that point across. And I was actually reading a few things about this and like parents talking about if it's good for their kids or not, or I guess there are websites for that. And it was talking about like, yeah, this has a great message about family and staying together and honoring the traditions and getting along and being nice to each other and blah, 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 the Christmas spirit shit. But a lot of parents didn't want their kids to watch it because it had such a dark ending. Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I guess if you are trying to get your kids into horror, you kind of should expect that maybe it probably won't even in happy ending horror movies, most everyone has died and then you just have the main character that's alive in a lot of them. So there's still rampant death. And if you don't want to ruin Christmas, maybe don't even consider watching a Christmas horror movie.
Exactly.
Just a thought.
There's plenty of other Christmas movies out there.
Right.
Watch Christmas Vacation. Watch anything else.
There's like 18 Grinches.
Come on. Seriously?
So, but the ending of this movie, and I know this has been pretty short, but it literally is like, the deeper parts are honoring tradition, just like we talk about in Trick or Treat. And this dark ending, basically the boy's family has been taken. And now you've got all of Krampus and his minions standing around a pit of hell.
Yeah.
The street literally opens up and there's hellfire. And he gives this speech of this, you know, basically, fuck you. I believe in Christmas. I want my family back. I was wrong. And Krampus is like, it looks like he's entertaining. And then he's like, nah, it's too fucking late. And so the dark, quote unquote, ending is that everybody dies.
They all
or
get
goes to
put
hell
in this little snow globe. And it's Christmas morning over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted.
He did. So then, I mean, honestly, this hell that they're put in, like you said, it's in a snow globe. And this last little scene you get is the family waking up and everything is perfect and beautiful on Christmas morning. And then they all realize, oh my God, that was real and shit happened. But honestly, if I had to pick a morning to relive over and over and over and over, I would probably pick Christmas morning with my family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure at day, 1472, I'd probably be like, I am so fucking tired of this. But I read this, speaking of hell, this is a little deep. I read this thing about hell, and I think about hell a lot because, as we know, we've talked about before, it's one of my greatest insecurities is with religion and the fear of the unknown and the afterlife. We've talked about that in the exorcism episodes and all those movies. So I've thought a lot about hell, and I read this thing years and years ago, and it has always stayed with me. And it said, someone says hell is you spending eternity meeting and seeing the person that you should have become. That would be awful.
Interesting.
Like all the things that you could have done if you weren't procrastinating or lazy or wallowing in mental health problems or whatever. Like, and so if somebody was like, you can have this or Christmas morning, I'd be like, you know what? Christmas morning is totally fine.
Yeah, fair.
So that didn't seem too terrible to me. But
yeah, but what if, like, they don't really delve into it. I know there's a bunch of other Krampus movies, maybe they do in that, but what if they remembered what happened over and over again? Like, maybe he tortured them or something, and
that's true.
As he grabs the bell, they all seem to remember something, maybe.
That's true.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or maybe they have to relive that night and then the next morning. So they have to go through everything they just went through and then get to wake up and be happy for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's true. I would love to get more. Again, we talked about the lore, but like specifically just this movie taking everything out and stripping it all away. What happened between going into the hellfire and being in the snow globe? Also, he's got a pretty badass collection. So
he really does.
It's like an increasing amount of people are losing that like holiday spirit and that family. And I don't even think you need blood family. I think the point is just to be, I mean, Christmas comes with its own feelings. And I think it's about keeping those alive. So, I mean, again, this movie's really not that deep. It is if you want to dive into keeping the family connection alive and what happens when you lose that, and this being a evil Christmas dramatization of that, but that's not at all a unique ideal to this movie.
There's not a lot to break apart and analyze.
Yeah. I mean, it's trick or treat for Christmas. Literally done by the same guy.
Yeah, just keep the holiday spirit, whatever holiday that is, alive. That's all it's about.
And if we want to really talk about horror and the kills, I mean, they didn't. A lot of time they just get taken. It was off scene, yeah. More than, it's not like a gory movie, so, it's not going to satisfy your urge for like really deep, gory, good horror. But if you want to watch a Christmas movie and you're not into warm fuzzies, I mean, this was very middle of the road for me, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I'm a traditional Christmas kind of person. I love horror all year round, but I will say, other than the original Black Christmas, I don't usually mix my Christmas and my spooky, because I just have this like 1 month of like cheer, so, and sometimes honestly horror can bring that down a little bit.
That's fair.
So,
well, I'm sorry.
No, don't be like, I do watch horror in December. It's just like I probably won't watch specifically Christmas horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I keep them very separate because in my head they are two very separate feelings and atmospheres that I love almost equally. In October, if you ask me what my favorite holiday is, it's Halloween, no problem, because I'm in it and I'm excited. But then in December, when you ask me what my favorite holiday is, it's Christmas. So like, I think they're pretty even for me. So I like them both respectively. So 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Yep. That's what I was thinking too. It wasn't boring or I didn't hate it or anything. So I wouldn't give it like a 1 or a 2. It was definitely a fine movie. I don't think I'll watch it again. 3 out of 5.
Yeah. And if it was on, maybe, if I was doing stuff.
If it was on in the background while I was decorating.
I mean, if you're going to give me, if I'm putting up a Christmas tree and you're like, Krampus is on or A Christmas Story is on, I'm going to watch A Christmas Story.
Absolutely not. Never.
So,
I've seen that movie way too many times. Thanks, Mom.
But you know what I mean. I'm also getting there because they play it 24 hours a day.
24 hours of A Christmas Story?
But honestly, if you gave me like any Christmas movie and Krampus to watch during Christmas, I'm going to watch the Christmas movie because I'm just a basic bitch like that.
Yeah.
Now I have a line. Hallmark movies. I refuse.
Yeah, that's another thing that my mother loves that I am
sorry,
so
Kathy.
tired of. Love you, Mom.
I cannot do the Hallmark thing. I have a line and it ends at Hallmark. So, but if you've seen one Hallmark movie, you've seen them all. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us and Merry Christmas. We hope
Merry
you
Christmas.
enjoy it. Don't forget, Krampus is going to get you if you don't enjoy it.
Exactly.
So, we hope you have a really great holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or this is just another winter episode or whatever your beliefs or ideas or systems are. We hope you enjoy at least the day off if you're in the United States.
And for our next episode, we're going to be sitting on the beach.
Hell yeah.
And they're like something from a nightmare. Till then, stay creepy.